So in this video, I wanted to discuss with you how I made $92,000 selling from stage for the first time and the 3 things that you can do to do exactly the same. Hi, my name's Colin Boyd, creator of Sell From Stage Academy, and I help experts, coaches, and course creators to sell their stuff from webinars, virtual stages, and live stages. I've had the opportunity to coach thousands of people around the world and advise the biggest experts in this industry. I've done millions from stage, but really the core of this, the heart of these videos, is about helping you to access your full potential. Let's get into that. So early on in my speaking career, I had been doing speaking, but I was being paid to speak. So they call it speaking for a fee. So I was going around the country speaking at organizations and corporations and being paid to speak at a conference. Now, all of this was fine. I was enjoying that experience. But the problem is that when I would go and speak, I would get paid a fee, and then basically, that would be the end of it. There would be no ongoing payment. There would be nothing else on top of that. And so when I had a month coming up that didn't have many speaking gigs on, I wouldn't make the money that I was wanting to make. And what happened was I had an opportunity come up at a particular time where I didn't have many speaking gigs. And the conference facilitated a place where I could actually make a sale or make an offer from the platform. And I remember approaching the event organizer and said, hey, I'm doing this 30-minute keynote for you guys. I've also got a product, a digital product, which I just created. It was a new online course. I just created, and I said, hey, it aligns really well with what I'm presenting on. Would it be okay if I share it as a next step? And he was like, sure, that sounds great. And so I went up, I did my 30-minute presentation, got paid for it, and at the end, I made an offer. And this was the first time that I'd ever made like a paid offer where I was actually asking for people to invest, right? And I didn't know what was going to happen. So I did my 30-minute presentation, made my offer for my course, and then I sat down. And I remember this ding going off in my phone, in my pocket, and I picked it up as my phone, and I look at it, and it was like a Stripe notification, and someone had bought the course, and I was like, oh my gosh, someone's bought it. I was like pumped. And then it was like ding, and then ding, and then ding, 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 ding. And then literally just like scrolling, like dozens and dozens and dozens of people buying my course. And within about a 48-hour period, we'd done over $92,000 in course sales. This was like 20 times the fee that I charged to keynote for that event. To be honest, this completely blew my mind. The fact that I could get paid 20 times what I was earning when I was charging for a fee, that was what made me obsessed about learning how to speak in a way that sells. Not just speak in a way that gets claps, but actually speak in a way that gets clients. So I'm going to unpack for you 3 secrets that I've discovered along the way in selling from stages, teaching people to sell from stages so that you can do exactly the same. So the first secret to effectively selling from a virtual or a live stage is to create content that creates desire for the how. So let me explain what this means. A lot of the time, people teach on their presentations a lot of how-to content. So for example, they get into the steps, the nitty-gritty, the really specifics of what they're actually teaching. The problem with that is that it overwhelms the audience really quickly. Like for example, have you ever been on a training, maybe it was a free training, and all of a sudden the person gets into all the nitty-gritty detail stuff, and it's cool for the start, and then all of a sudden you get really overwhelmed and you end up your eyes glazing over and you're kind of like not concentrating anymore because they've gotten too much into the detail. And so the secret is not overwhelming your audience with how-to information. The secret is creating a desire for the how-to. Now, what I'm not saying is that it's a complete sales pitch. It shouldn't feel sleazy and salesy and all that sort of stuff. But it should be content that when you present it, it gives incredible value for the audience no matter what. But it also is it's like a decadent meal. Rather than one of those big buffets, the buffets that you go to, it's like an all-you-can-eat Pizza Hut kind of pizza buffet. And you go there and you eat everything and you walk away and just feel disgusting, right? I'm talking about a decadent meal. A well-designed presentation should feel beautiful, should feel like a decadent meal. It should feel like Almost like when you finish it, you're like, that was a great meal. Can I have some more? Sometimes you have to stop by like Taco Bell on the way home from like a really expensive meal. But it should feel like that. It should feel like that was an incredible experience. I want some more. Like I'm still hungry. And so most people, when they're creating their content, they over create their content. They give way too much how-to. They overwhelm the audience. And it doesn't create desire for the how-to. It just creates overwhelm in the audience's mind. So the first shift, the first secret is to create content that creates desire for the how-to. The second big idea, and this is crucial, I really want you to pay attention to this one, it's huge. Your content should reduce psychological resistances that the audience has towards saying yes to your offer or towards saying yes to the goal that they want to achieve in their life. Let me explain. So when your audience comes in to listen to your presentation, your webinar, and you're making your offer, they're going to come in with preconceived ideas, concepts, psychological constructs of what it actually takes to achieve the outcome that they want. Or they'll come in with some misbeliefs or misunderstandings about what you do, about your industry, about what you help people with. Your job is to frame content so that it actually shifts the psychological understanding of how they view what you do with them. Now, let me explain this to you. For example, one of our core programs is called Sell from Stage Academy. So essentially it teaches experts, coaches, courses to create content, presentations that sell so that they can get clients without being pushy, right? It's Sell from Stage Academy. The problem with Sell from Stage Academy is that for most people, selling creates a lot of discomfort, and even more than that, it's something they almost don't want to do. Like they know they have to do it, but they don't want to do it because they don't want to be sleazy, they don't want to be pushy. And so one of the psychological constructs that I have to be aware of is people's perception of selling. And part of the presentation, I have to realize that people are going to see selling as being pushy and salesy and sleazy. However, I need to create content as the expert myself so that people see it as selling is actually the doorway to serving people on the next level. And we do that when we do a presentation. But I want you to think about for yourself, what are the misbeliefs, the constructs that the audience has coming into your presentation that would stop them from saying yes to your offer? They're kind of like the handbrakes. Your audience has handbrakes on and you're trying to help them push the accelerator, and they can even be pushing it, but it doesn't matter. They're going to be spinning their wheels if you haven't taken off the psychological handbrakes that they have. Now, what are some other ones? It could literally just be that maybe they're new to the industry, or maybe another resistance could be that they've never done this before, or it could be that they don't have enough time, or they're busy, or they don't have enough money. All these different constructs will create resistances. They're like handbrakes towards the audience saying yes to your offer so that you can actually work with them, especially if they're a right fit for you. Is this making sense? And so the second big idea is you have to realize what are the resistance points that the audience has, and you need to create content to start to shift, soften, and reframe those resistance points in your presentation so that when you make your offer, there isn't a resistance towards saying yes to it. And the third big secret that makes pretty much all the difference when it comes to designing presentations that sell is that you have to realize that the main goal of your presentation is not to just entertain people. It's not to just motivate them. It's to help them to come to a decision. One of the problems with human beings is that we don't like making decisions. We don't like making it. We would prefer to not make a decision and put off the decision than have the discomfort of making a decision. The problem is that all progress is made with decisions. All growth in your life is made with decisions. And so your audience comes into the presentation that they're watching you do, and they have resistance, which we talked about before, and around making decisions. And so your content shouldn't be just about providing information or content where they go, wow, that's amazing. It actually should be content that motivates them to go, you know what? I've had enough living the way that I've been living, and I am willing now to make a change in my life, to take a step forward, and that courageous decision to go after the goals, the dreams that I've been putting off for so long. And so when you think about your content, I want you to look at it from the frame of, is this helping my audience to make more courageous decisions? And if it is, then you're doing the right thing with your presentation, especially if you want to make a sale at the end of it. So we've talked about 3 big ideas today. The first was around creating content that generates desire for the how-to, not over bombarding your audience with all the how-to. A little bit is fine, but not over bombarding. The second thing is you need to remove or reframe the psychological resistances. And the third thing is you need to create content that drives decision, because if they don't make a decision, they're not going to see any progress in their life no matter what. So hey, if this has been helpful, why don't you leave a comment down below? Out of these 3 ideas, what's been most helpful? What's been most insightful for you? Leave a comment down below. And I'd love to also know, what's the hardest part for you about selling from maybe a webinar or a stage or whatever it is? I'd love to know, what's your big question? What's the hardest part for you? Write a comment down below before you leave this video. And if you found this helpful, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications at the little bell symbol, and I'm looking forward to serving you in the next videos.